What's up, my name is Spencer, and in this video I'm going to be going over what I think is a pretty quick and simple workflow on creating hand-drawn assets, just like you saw in the intro. So we're going to be taking stuff straight from drawing on a page into Photoshop and then into Premiere or After Effects to animate it. This is just a workflow that I found has worked for myself, and there's kind of no hard or fast rules, so you can follow along with the whole thing or just pick and choose what steps that will work for you. All right, so here's what I'm starting with. Some blank paper, a thick and thin Sharpie, and my iPhone to scan it in. Okay, so I airdropped those few photos that I took on my iPhone to my Mac. I just wanted to show how simply you could do this. You can obviously shoot it or scan it with an actual DSLR or scan it in, and you'll have definitely better quality. But basically, for simplicity and speed, this is the workflow that I'm going to show you right now. Okay, so I'm just going to bring this right into Photoshop. Okay, so if you're working in color, you can skip this step. But for me, I'm working just in black and white, so I'm going to change my mode to grayscale, so it just disregards all the color information. And I'm also going to crop my edges because this is going to get picked up as black, and we actually don't need that stuff. Okay, here we go. So this is where you're going to keep going. Curves and levels is the next step. I think one of the big keys here is you're trying to really separate the background and whatever you're trying to mask or key out. For me, it's just these strokes that I'm trying to get out. So I'm just trying to make the biggest separation possible. If I zoom in here, you can see that this is also affecting the spaces where the strokes weren't so solid. And you can clean that up if that's what you're looking for. The whole reason that I like this technique is because you can see those little imperfections. So all I'm going to do is take my key tool, and I'm just going to Command A or just select everything, and then you're going to press copy. Then you're going to come into here, channels. If you're working in color, you'll have more than one, but it's the same process. Make a new alpha channel and paste. And then basically what you're gonna do here is make a selection. And what it's gonna do is try to make a selection around this separation that you just tried to create. So what I'm gonna do is first invert my selection, copy that, go back over into my layers. I'm gonna create a new layer, turn that off, and you can see exactly what we have. So I pasted, and now you have your marker strokes or your title or whatever with these little imperfections and the transparent layer behind it. I'm also going to work on the text that you saw from the intro right now really quick. So you can see here what happens if you don't crop the edges, and sometimes this might actually like get a little too close to your artwork or whatever you're trying to do if the colors are too close together, and that could mess up your selection. Okay, you can see here that when I extracted it the first time, that the darkness was actually coming through as well, because it was, I mean, the lighting wasn't great. But what I did is basically I just went back to the original photo, cropped just that out, and then I'm gonna do the same process all over again. But now just focusing just on this. And there, now you can see that this was the original one, and then this is the one that I edited afterwards. So now it's fully transparent. So now we can move on. And basically what I'm gonna do is just open up a 1080 sequence. So I've gone through and made all my selects already of what I want the title to consist of. So I'm just going to copy all of these and paste them in this comp. And now here's where I'm gonna line everything up for the final product. And I just pressed Command semicolon to bring up the guides, but you can just go to View and Guides, and same thing to bring up the rulers, Command R, and then you can drag in some new ones. Just because like I definitely wasn't drawing straight, but I'm gonna try to, you know, level them out the best I can using these guides. Okay, so I have it roughly mapped out to where things are going to be, and you can always kind of change it down the line, but this just gives you a better idea of what you're working with and narrows down your selects. So you can see on a few of the characters on A and 2, I actually did them twice, and to be honest, I actually like to do things 3 or 4 times if you're trying to animate it. That's what I did with my animated font pack, and I just wrote the letters over and over and over again. And with that, I try to make them as similar as possible because, you know, human error, and they're all going to look different anyways. But I didn't do that with the rest of this title because I really didn't have enough paper space, and well, because I kind of suck at it. You can skip this step if you're not looking to animate it in this way, but for me, what I'm gonna do is make sure there's 3 layers of everything. So 3 A's, 3 guides, and 3 2's, so on and so on. But for like the word guide, all I'm gonna do is just duplicate this 3 times. So this is my master here, and then what we're gonna do is I just press Command T. We're going to transform it just a little bit so it's slightly different, you know, and then maybe we'll move that. So now when you see how it kind of looks like it's swaying there, you kind of get a little bit of a cleaner animation this way because you actually are modifying the one type. So now let's just bring it in instead. So it'll get like a really clean loop. So this is what it will look like. See that? So that's it. Super simple. And if you're into that, make sure you do it for every layer. That's what I'm going to do right now. Okay, I have everything that I'm looking for. The last thing that I'm going to do here is just drop a random color under to see if I missed anything. Nope. When I've done it in the past, I'll just get like black specks here and there, things I didn't key out properly. But yeah, no, this one looks pretty good. So let's just save this and we'll move on. I usually do this step in After Effects, but you could literally do this in any editor, which is why I'm going to use Premiere. So I'm just going to import the PSD, and I left it in PSD format because this way you can just do all the individual layers. So in the program window, I have the photo that I started with, and then I have a breakdown folder of all the layers that I want to work with. And if you think what we just did takes way too long, you just don't have time for it, what you can do is basically just come over here and say you want the word guide. Maybe you just have somebody's name for a title. We used to do this a lot with skate videos back in the day. Okay, so I just quickly put a background under it just so you can see. And basically all you're gonna do is play with the blending modes. But first, I'm just going to drag a curves on it and do the same thing we did in Photoshop and really bring out the darks and lights so it has an easier time blending. And there you go. Instead of doing all the work that we did in Photoshop, you can just bring it straight into Premiere and do it this way. The only reason I like doing it in Photoshop is because it gives you a little bit more control on the image side, and then when you bring everything in, everything's already sorted in layers, and then when you end up bringing it into your timeline, everything is already sorted for you. So you can choose whatever you want to do depending on how many layers you're working with. All right, so let's go ahead and bring all of these onto the timeline and start making our animated title. So what I'm going to do for each word is group them together and then nest them. So this is just going to be A because that's what's inside here. And then for each one, what I'm going to do is basically just move it 2 frames. I'm just going to copy and paste that a bunch of times, and there you go. Now it's animated. And you know, if you don't like that look, you can go back and Command R, so speed, and instead of 2 frames, maybe you want 3 frames, and then ripple delete so everything shifts, and there you go. Now you have 3 frames, and now you can see the difference in animation there. So I think that looks pretty good. So let's do 3 frames for everything. Okay, so I just finished up layering them into 3 frames each, and here's the outcome. I just believe that this way is a little bit faster and a little bit more efficient, because once you get it into your editor, regardless of what editor you're editing with, everything's pretty much already there if you line everything up in Photoshop, and that way you can just sort of fine tune where things should go. All right, so let's look at our other layer. And see, you can see a little bit of the white because I rushed this one. So I'm just gonna come down here and go to, let's see, multiply. So that works. Color burn, that works. So just play around and see what works best here. Okay, so this is something similar to what I had in the intro, and I just put a simple wipe at the beginning and the end of the clip. So yeah, I hope that helps. It's a few different ways that you can get hand-drawn assets, or pretty much anything that you can think up, snap a photo of on your phone or your camera, or scan in, anything like that. You can use this method to get them into your editor. So I hope that helps, and if you have any questions, I'll try my best to answer them if you drop them in the comments. All right, see you in the next one. Peace.